All right, welcome to Kwame Affair Exclusive. Actually, there's been a subject that I had wanted to speak about for a very long time. I don't know why time did not allow me. Quite unfortunate, but all the same, since the war is in session, I'm talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. Let's say from today onwards, we're going to ensure that at least once in a week, all the dynamics that will play out in the war between Russia and Ukraine, I'll find time and then be giving you update on what is happening, the dynamics and the like. It's quite unfortunate that at the early stage of the war, or at the early stages of the war, I wasn't giving you update, talk about the NATO, who is the NATO, what is made up of the NATO, and then that of the Soviet Union, the reason why this whole war has started. But a bit of how it all started, all of us know, and then we are aware that Ukraine has been a good friend of Russia until the point where Ukraine decided to be independent due to a lot of historical factors, which Russia actually allowed. And then when they became independent, there were some sort of agreement as to you being independent means independent. But it just got to a point where the bonding or the closeness of the Ukraine to the West was becoming tighter, which was somehow a threat to Russia. Therefore, Russia giving you some level of independence would not allow you to be a friend to the enemy and then allow the enemy to spy on Russia. So at a point in time, Russia also needed to protect its territory against an enemy, not directly Ukraine, but friend to Ukraine, which is the US. So this is how the whole Crimea and the likes all started. And then for Russia, it is basically protecting its territory. And for Ukraine, Ukraine believes that it can be friend to whoever he wants to be friend with, and then it doesn't matter. Of course, history will tell us that Russia at a point in time wanted to set up a base at this Fidel Castro's country. What was the name? I've forgotten this. Oh, Fidel Castro. Oh, this thing just escaped me. Oh, Fidel Castro, where we produce so much doctors for Ghanaians, and then Ghanaians also go there for Cuba. Thank you, God. It came. Yeah, everything is real here. Cuba. So there have been a lot of power play in this particular war. And then since the war started, you could clearly also observe that the US, the West, and the Europe have been supporting Ukraine so much with military, logistics, and even you talk about retired personnel who come to Ukraine and then be training some of the military personnel of Ukraine. And then beyond that, since it started happening, Russia also cut supply of gas to Europe, which affected price of fuel and then gas and the likes. And then this really affected them substantially. And then you realize that beyond the physical war on the grounds, they were equally battling with trading policy or trade policies. They were equally battling with trade policies. Now, I don't want to go into the details of how it all happened. I think I've given you a bit of the suffix. But then we've gotten to a level in the conflict. That at a point in time, Crimea has been annexed long ago, but Russia recently annexed Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia. These were a few regions that Russia annexed. And then, last week it was in the news that Russia has actually left Kherson. And then for some of the experts, people were saying that might not be true. Because why would Russia annex places like Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and then Zaporizhia, and all of a sudden Russia wants to go? Remember one of the dams actually got broken, and then water was flashing out of the area, and so they needed to protect themselves around that space. And then that was the reason the Russian military apparatus gave to us. Well, today, we've also realized that the president of Ukraine was in the area. We're talking about Kherson. And then it seems the celebration is so good. The people in Kherson are so happy about the fact that Russia is not at Kherson. But some expect to believe that that could be a trap. Some also believe that, well, they are moving out so that they can bombard the area very well. Who knows what's going to happen? Russia-Ukraine war. More updates coming up on Kwame Ofe Exclusive. Just keep it locked. We'll be telling you more about the dynamics. Of course, you know, and I know you're aware that everyone in the allies, so when you talk about the West and then you're talking about the NATO, I want to believe that all of you are aware of the composition of NATO. When we say NATO, we're talking about the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. When we talk about NATO, you should know the composition of NATO. If we're talking about NATO or the membership country that actually make up the whole NATO force. And then one of the rules you'd have to also appreciate is anytime you join such a treaty or you become part of such a treaty, you would equally have to abide by the rules and regulations of the treaty. And then any member of NATO who gets attacked, it's more or less like attacking the sovereignty of NATO. And then any member who is being attacked, what happens is all member countries will come against you, whether in a form of trade, whether coming to you through military means, any other means. That is what basically happens, right? So if we're talking about the NATO, we're talking about 10 membership states. I mean, it was formed way back in 1949. You understand? Yes. And then there were 12 founding members of the alliance. We're talking about Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United States, and the United Kingdom. These were some of the founding members or the 12 founding members of NATO. Other member countries are the Greece, the Turkey back in 1952, the Germany in 1955, the Spain in 1982. We have Hungary, we have Poland, Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Albania, Croatia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and then this one. Let's see. What's this one? I can't see it well. Let's see. Okay. Well, maybe Czechia. Let's put it that way. You know. So basically, that is the composition of NATO. And then, as I told you, the rules is very simple. If you're part of us, when you get attacked, the sovereignty of NATO has been attacked. And of course, you know what happened to the Soviet Union. For those of you who appreciate the history of the Soviet Union, the Soviet Union used to be very powerful. A lot of things happened that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union, but Russia has never turned it back on what it believes in. And then you could also realize that anytime you talk about the Soviet Union, even up till date, Russia has its own alliance. We're talking about China, which is a major a partner. We're talking about the likes of Cuba, as I said, which is equally a major partner. We're talking about North Korea. You know, when you mentioned the state, you know that Charlie, we're in boom. And then you're talking about places like I mentioned North Korea, China, and who? Cuba. Say it again. No, South Korea is not part. South Korea is more to the west. So there are more countries, you know, who are equally part of it. And then, you know, when you come back to Africa, you realize that countries that operated the socialism kind of system were more aligned to the Soviet Union. So, for example, when you look at the system of government that was adopted by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, you clearly realize that the features of the Soviet was more instrumental or could be demonstrated in our system. They are more socialist, more central government operated, and then more of government taking decision. That is how a Soviet Union actually operates. So when you look at China, you look at how China's political system look like, you could equally know or have that feel of the Soviet system in there. North Korea, you know, and many other countries that still have the socialism ideology operating. So that is how it is. So sometimes it becomes more or less like socialism as against the free market or Westernism. And so, well, each and then every ideology he or she wants to operate with, and then you cannot force the whole world to believe in what you believe in. I've seen sometimes the West will make it look like, well, democracy is the best, blah, 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 but we all know the shortfalls associated with democracy, the same way with socialism, which comes with its own advantages and disadvantages, right? So, in the meantime, we will end here, but what I want you to understand is the latest development on the Russia-Ukraine war is Kherson, and then there's some level of the celebration by the people of Kherson. And then one angle that I will want to touch on is a matter of Ukraine president opening talks with the Russian president. Whether Zelensky and then Putin would kind of have some level of understanding and say that at this point in time, let's sign treaty, let's that, and that. Last week we heard rumors that US was persuading Ukraine to probably start some conversation, which for Ukrainian president, he is open to talks for peace, but there are some clauses where he believes that all states that have been annexed by Russia should be given back to Ukraine, for which I know that all states that has been annexed by Russia, including Kherson, Russia say that this is a no-go area for them. So even Kherson, that looks like Russia has abandoned it. Russia, after its referendum, still believes that these are places that belongs to them. And then some way, somehow, you just don't know. So basically, when you look through the media, especially for the West, you realize some direction through which the war will be going. And then if you pay attention critically, you will also understand the dynamics which is really going on. So don't pay so much attention to some of the false news that keep coming. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things happening behind the scene which we need to have a better understanding of it before we can judge who is bad, who is evil or not. You see, the Western media might be quick to paint some level of picture, but all that I want to tell my following is to take time. Let's not be quick to judge. Let's read in between the lines and understand the Russian-Ukraine dynamics before we judge. This is Kwame Ofer Exclusive. Forgive me, unfortunately, how I love to have started this earlier, I couldn't do it like that. But hey, I'll see what to do. But I'm promising at least once a week, we'll just get an update on what's happening. Russia-Ukraine, Kwame Ofer Exclusive. You ready?